So our task for this video lesson is to compute for the value of distance between your 2 points. First thing to do, so we're going to assign a variable to your coordinates of the given points. I- This will be your point 1 and this is your point 2. So we're going to assign a variable here which is equal to your x sub 1. So this will be your y sub 1. Then for your point 2, this will be your x sub 2 and y sub 2. So going back to your analytic geometry, so the distance formula for this one is d is equal to square root of x sub 2 minus x sub 1 square plus your y sub 2 minus your y sub 1 is square. Now, let's substitute the given values of your x sub 2, your x sub 1, your y sub 2, and your y sub 1. So for the distance, so that will be equal to the square root of, then your x sub 2 is equal to negative 1. So minus, so we copy your operation here, minus 2, then bracket, square, plus your y sub 2, so that will be equal to negative 2, minus your y sub 1, which is equal to negative 3, then square. So let's simplify. So your d now is equal to square root of, so negative minus 2, so that will be negative 3 square, plus, if that is negative, so if we multiply this one negative by negative, it's positive. So negative plus 3 is equal to positive 1 square. Now, if we're going to simplify, so your d now is equal to negative 3 square is equal to 3 multiplied by 3, or simply negative 3 multiplied by negative 3 is equal to 9 plus 1 square. So that will be 1 multiplied by 1. So that will be equal to 1, or simply your d now is equal to square root of 10. So most student will ask, Sir, if x sub 1 and your y sub 1 will come first, can we arrive to the same answer? So let's deal with this one. So let's now try to put your x sub 1 and your y sub 1 as your first variable that we're going to consider. So your d now is the square root of your x sub 1 minus your x sub 2 square plus your y sub 1 minus your y sub 2 square. So let's substitute the given values for your x sub 1, your x sub 2, your y sub 1, and your y sub 2. So your d now is equal to square root of, so what will be your x sub 1? So your x sub 1 is equal to 2 minus your x sub 2, which is negative 1 square, plus your y sub 1, which is equal to negative 3 minus, what will be your y sub 2? So that will be negative 2 square. So your d now, for us to simplify this one, so that will be square root. So 2 minus negative 1, So this one is negative, negative. So that will be a positive. So 2 plus 1, so that will be a positive 3 square plus, so negative 3 minus negative 2, both negative, negative, so negative multiplied by negative, it's positive. So negative 3 plus 2 is equal to negative 1 square. So if we're going to simplify this one, so that will be equal to 3 square, or 3 multiplied by 3, it's 9, plus your negative 1 square, so that will be negative 1 multiplied by negative 1. So if they are both negative numbers, then the resulting value must be a positive number. So negative 1 multiplied by negative 1, it's positive 1. So if we simplify this one, so that will be equal to square root of 10. So regardless, no, if we're going to use your x sub 1 as your first variable, as long in your second term here, we use your y sub 1 as your first variable for your y variable. So if this is x sub 2, then supposed to be, this will be your y sub 2. If this is x sub 1, then this will be your y sub 1. Again, regardless, if we're going to use x sub 1 as your first variable for your x, then it should be y sub 1 here. If this is x sub 2, this will be your y sub 2. Regardless of your orientation, no, if we choose x sub 2 here, then you're going to use y sub 2 here in your formula. If this is x sub 1, it should be y sub 1 here. So even if we choose x sub 1 here or x sub 2 here, as long that the same orientation with your y variable, we can arrive with the same answer as your resulting value. That will be equal to your square root of. Now, I'm going to teach you how to use your calculator to deal with your calculator technology. So let's deal with this one. I want you to go now with your complex, or you need to set your calculator to a complex mode. So we're going to write this point 1 as 2 minus 3. So we need to put ID here as imaginary. And then we're going to save here to your A. Then point 2 or point 2 will be rewrite like this, no? Negative 1, negative 2, I, and save it to V. Now, this 2 and negative 3, that will be your x sub 1 and y sub 1. That will represent your point 1. We're going to save to your A. Then your negative 1 and negative 2, that will be your x sub 2 and y sub 2. We're going to save this one to V. So let's deal with this one. So I want you to open your calculator. So let's open your calculator. So we're going to set our calculator to complex mode. So for complex, you're going to choose 2. Then we're going to rewrite your point 1 like this. So 2 minus 3. So shift imaginary. Then we're going to save this one to your A. So that will be shift recall A. Then you need to press equal sign to save it to A. Then press AC. Now for your point 2, then we're going to rewrite this point 2 as negative 1 minus 2. Then same thing, we're going to put I. Then we're going to save it to letter B. So that will be shift recall B. press equal sign, then AC. Now, we're going to get the absolute value between of the difference between your A and B. So shift, then your absolute value, then alpha A minus alpha B. So that will be the distance now using the concept of your complex. So the absolute value of your A minus B is now equal to the distance between your point 1 and point 2. So let's press your equal sign. Now, if you try to say this one, so your answer is square root of 10. Same answer with the answer that we got from your distance formula. So this how we deal with your calculator technology with this kind of problem. As for the reference of everyone, so your absolute value of your A minus your B is equal now to your square root of 10. So from the values that we got from your calculator, this absolute value of the difference between your A and B is the same value of the distance between your point 1 and your point 2. Now, this will be the concept of calculator technology. So, it is important for us to know the concept of your calculator technology because even without writing on your paper, you just simply input your values, then we can arrive with the same value that we can get from your formula. So I hope that you learned something from me. So thank you for watching and thank you for listening.